Life as an elderly man. Being 70 years old, does that mean that my life is soon to end and that the best years of my life have already passed me by? Or are the best years of my life and possibly your life lying ahead? That's what I want to talk about in this video. Alrighty, so as I sit here today as a 70-year-old man who's reflecting on his life, I just thought I would share a few thoughts that I've had in my retirement and what it has meant to me to reach the milestone of becoming an elderly person. And I think that just saying that is sort of a sign of victory. The fact that I made it and the fact that you've made it is something to be worn as a badge of honor. Every wrinkle, every line, every scar, every gray hair is really a sign that you won the battle. And more importantly, now that you've made it this far, you've pretty much won the war. You know, metal is refined and it's run through fire. And as they run metal, steel through those fires, it burns away the impurities that are in the steel to make it harder and stronger and purified. It's sort of the way that I observe life. As we run through our 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, we're pretty much, because life is hard, you're running through fire. And every day has its own challenges. And we tend to compound those challenges with our own misguided thoughts as to what it is that's important. But you see, by the time, and those are the impurities that we live with during our youth, if you will. And hopefully, by the time you've reached the age of 60 to 70, the majority of those impurities or misguided thoughts and notions that you carried with you, or that I carried with me, I should say, have been burned away. And now you're left with a much more finite, purified product, which is you. And that is someone who has gained a certain amount of wisdom that just happens. It's not something you can buy. It's something that you have to earn. And if life was easy, it wouldn't be challenging. There would be no victories if life was just easy. The only way that we can have victories is if we're challenged. And we have to have something to overcome. And we have to have something to beat. So some of the things that I'll list that I think were the impurities in my life growing up. And I won't use a lot of examples. I'll just go through a couple of three that I think were very prevalent. And if I could go back in time, which of course I can't, I would change it up. But I'll share it with you now. See if you agree with it, if you think that applies to your life also. I'd say one of the things that I think was a big impurity in my life was comparing myself to others. That see someone that's doing better than me, they're richer than me, they're better looking than me, they're more famous, they're more popular. They're the ones that get the nice table at the restaurant. Meanwhile, I got to go back to the cattle call with everybody else. And you're kind of envious, or I was kind of envious of those types of people. Didn't seem that no matter what they did, they were accepted. People adored them. And I come to the conclusion that those people eventually are going to walk through the front door of their house and close it behind them. And then that's when real life begins. And many times, not always, not with everyone, but on some of the people that I really admired for a long time, well, the next time they open that door to step back out into the world, they're off to rehab. Or worse, they're off to court. Or worse, they're off to prison because they are not bigger and better and superior to me or you. In fact, they have possibly more demons than I ever dreamed of. And, the bigger they are, the harder they fall. And I think of people that I had so much admiration for that have gone through that door and have had to go to those destinations that thankfully I never had to visit. And it turns out that really I was the lucky one, not them. So comparing myself to others, total waste of time, total, it's futile. There's always going to be someone bigger and better than you, and there's always going to be somebody that's bigger and better than them. And so you just have to accept it that that's life's pecking order. That's just the food chain doing its thing, and that's the way the world works. The second thing that I would say was huge to me was getting rid of clutter. I cannot tell you how relieved I was 8 years ago when I sold or gave away everything that I owned, every possession. And I got on a plane. I live here in the Philippines. And I came here 8 years ago from America, the United States. Excuse me. And I had a backpack and I had one piece of luggage. And when I got on the plane and I stored my backpack and they checked in my luggage, I had a sense of pure freedom because all of those things that I owned before felt like weights, felt like obligations, I felt like, man, I got a fresh start. And I had it in my head that when I came over here 8 years ago, I was going to do everything in my power to acquire only that which is needed, only that which is necessary for me to navigate life and not try to showboat it, not try to pretend I'm something bigger or better than I am, try to strike up some humility, don't work to impress anybody, and don't worry about what others think of me. Man once told me, Paul, don't worry about what other people think of you because they seldom do. And so by me acquiring a bunch of new crap and trying to be showy and glitzy and blingy, for what? What's the use? There is so much freedom in knowing that I can pick up and leave this house tomorrow. And I could leave with the same backpack and the same suitcase and set up camp somewhere else. There's not one thing that I own in this house that I'm renting that means anything to me. It's a TV, a refrigerator, a freezer, a bed, my computer. I would take my computer, I would take my phone, I would take my clothes, the nicest ones I own, and I'd just leave and start all over again. Now, I don't foresee that happening, but I take great relief in knowing that I can just once again jettison anything that may have accumulated and piled up and cluttered my life. Living simple is such a sweet, sweet, freeing experience to your body, your mind, and your soul. At least it is to me. Taking pride in the fact that my time is my own. Each day, since I'm retired, I can have a good day or I can have a bad day. And I've come to the conclusion that that's my choice. If it's going to be a bad day, it's probably because I made it one. It's not because somebody else did it to me. I'm not a victim. I'm a volunteer. So I wake up and sometimes I have a bad day. You know why? Because I'm in a bad mood. And I don't necessarily know why, but I just write it out and I'll just stay at home and I will try not to inflict any of that to the others that I know and love. It's best that I just hold up until whatever mood I'm in passes. The last thing I'll discuss is the value that I have in my friendships. I can count my good friends on one hand. And my father always told me that growing up. He says, when you die, Paul, you will have been able to count all of your best friends or good friends or true friends on one hand. Wiser words never spoken. I can think of 3 today that I consider to be good friends. What is my definition of a good friend? Well, one of the conditions is that there's no agenda between us. I don't want anything from them, and they don't want anything from me. They're not trying to gain anything. I'm not trying to gain anything. We just enjoy spending time together, doing things together, participating in the same type of activities, conversations, and we're able to relate to one another. Another sign of a true friend is when one of my friends not fails, but succeeds. I take absolute joy in their success. And I have 3 people that I know that when something good happens to me, where I have maybe a certain level of success or a certain level of luck, and something goes right for me or goes extra right for me, I try not to boast of it, but I do share it. And I can tell they are genuinely happy. I have friends that realized that when I met my wife, how much she brought into my life, and we were married, they were genuinely happy that I had found that peace in finding a woman after having gone through some bad marriages and relationships in the past. And they were part of those relationships. One of my good friends witnessed it firsthand. And when I came into a relationship with my wife, he called me up and said, "Paulie, I am so happy for you. You deserve it, bro. I know what you went through before, and I am genuinely happy for you." The other thing, we don't have any agenda. We're genuinely happy for others' successes, and we don't judge when we do something wrong. That's kind of a tough statement because all of us are judgmental. But with my friends, it, the buck stops with me pretty much, and with them. We're past the point of we know each other. We know they know how I am. I know how they are. I know what their borders are. I know what their guidelines are. I know what line I should never cross with them out of respect, and they with me. And I cherish those people, and I cherish those relationships, and I feel so blessed by it. I couldn't form those kind of relationships when I was younger simply because I didn't know what it was to look for. And that was something that I had to gain with time. I had to burn away that impurity. And I'll kind of wrap it up with those that are acquaintances. I've learned that when the relationship simply becomes toxic, just to 86 them. Just no, don't confront them. Don't get into a fight with them. Don't have a shouting match. And in fact, if I see them, say hi and be cordial and polite and humble. However, realize that that person is going to bring more stress, more emotional damage, more more something that's negative into my world that I just don't want to deal with. Some are born again complainers. Others, as I mentioned, agendas, they have a super agenda with me. They know that if they can get something done with me, they're going to profit either financially or status-wise or whatever it might be, but it's apparent to me that they don't have my best interest at heart. They're looking out for number one, and that I don't really want to play. If you're not sincere, if you're not upfront, and if you're not honest, then I don't need you. And why would I? Why do you need, at this stage of the game, when you can pick and choose your friends? You see, back when I was younger, I may have been forced to be with those people, primarily in the workplace. You can't get away from them. They're there. Maybe it's the boss, maybe it's the coworker, maybe it's the guy that delivers the water. I don't know. Yeah, but there's someone, there's oil and water between the two of you. And now, here in my retirement years, and here in the Philippines, where I've got the freedom to just walk away and not deal with it. I don't want to hear their politics. I don't want to have them shove their religion or anything else down my throat. I'm a big boy. I can make my own mind up. I know what I believe. I know where I stand politically. I know where I stand on religion. And those that sit there and want to try to convince me that this guy is bad and this guy is good, their way is right and my way is wrong, I don't have time for it. I don't want to listen to it. And I don't respect them enough to even give anything they're saying any heed or time or energy. I just as soon let them go away. And again, in a gentle fashion, where it's just, you just get more and more degrees of separation until finally you just don't see them anymore. And if you do, give them a friendly wave. How are you doing there, Bobby? Everything okay, Jim? Everything okay, Randy? How's your wife? How's the kids? And leave it at that. No sense in getting hostile with them. No point in getting into a pissing match with them. No sense in winning the battle and losing the war, because those people are never going to change their point of view. I'm never going to change my point of view. And so why even go there? There are some, though, that want to inject into your world, their opinions, their fears, their lack of humility. There's one guy I know who fits this phrase perfectly. The older he gets, the greater he was. It's almost every conversation that I have with him, he includes his resume of how great he was back in the day when he was doing this and he was doing that and how successful he was and rah, 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 rah. It's like, okay, I get it. It doesn't matter. What matters to me is, what are you now? Okay, I did a lot of things right and I did a lot of things wrong in the past, but that is in the past. What matters now is the future. And so being 70 years old, having earned every wrinkle, every scar, every gray hair, being proud to bear them, because it means that I endured it and I came out ahead. It means that I now can look forward to the future. And if I ever lose my sense of curiosity or the fact that I don't know everything, in fact, if I ever say, hey, I know it all, feel free to put a bullet in my head, because the minute you say that, that's the stunt of your growth. You're done. It's over. The minute you think you know it all is when you really know nothing at all. We all should continue to learn, grow, be curious, and try to stretch ourselves as far as possible. I'm looking forward to the next 10 years and see what my thoughts are about being a youngster at 70 when I'm the ripe old age of 80. All right, we'll see you in the next video.